Pick the Nintendo Shack and pray. Frederick from Fire Emblem Awakening says, yo.
Greetings, Kooplings, and welcome back to Nintendo Shack 172. Tonight we're going to talk about Pokemon Presents and more of that Nintendo Direct fallout. Excuse us for the late show. I just forgot what time we normally do the show.
Blame Donnie.
That's all that happened. There's no story or anything like that. I was like, yeah, we podcast at 9 o'clock. That's what we do. Elaine's getting to me. That's what it is.
We literally asked, is he okay? And it was
we
like,
were
no
worried.
response
We
for
were
like
genuinely
15
worried.
minutes.
Because normally it's me that's the one that's late.
We have a new overlay system and all that's going on that hopefully my goal is to roll out across the entire network. So Empire was messing with it last night. I'm messing with it again here. There's still little bugs, a little cachy. There's sometimes I make changes and they don't reflect like instantly like you expect them to. You have to change it again or wait for it. Anyway, I'm really excited about it because hopefully this means all of our shows will be live. You can watch them all. And hopefully that means that we all kind of share similar look and feel and all of that jazz. Also notice the new ticker down there at the bottom. We have a featured patron every week down there that you can see in the ticker. So every time we do a show, and I'm going to add this to Empire as well, we will take one of our Patreon producers and make sure that they are there for us to say thank you to. So speaking of those patrons, thank you, Michael Masick, tonight's featured patron, Barry Cathcart, Edwin Callow, Stephen Keller, Nick Creature, Rude Days 93, Ben Moxham, Rob Emanuel, Nick Philhaber, Paul Calicote, Kyle Heyman, Grouchy Surge, Chris M, Devin Tyus, and Josh Borboni. I got a lot of things to talk about that I've been playing, but we also have a lot of show to talk about that we've got to do. So I'm not going to talk about much. I want to talk about a game that I touched on a few weeks ago. We've had so much news and everything going on. I played that game Blue Fire. Remember, I bought it the day it came out, and I was kind of telling you it's like Wind Waker, kind of platformer.
Like Zelda / Mario.
Kind of, yeah, very much so. After about 3 days of playing it, I turned it off and uninstalled it. It is frustratingly fun.
That's like frustratingly.
Yeah,
I liked it. What I was playing, I really enjoyed. It was just very punishing. If you fell off of something, like if you were doing a course, like so, there are these like little, I don't know what they call them. You know, there's these blocks that float in the world, and when you go up to them, it launches you into a level. When you're in that level, if you die, you have to complete the entire level all over again. And
I hate that.
Oh, wow.
It's very challenging, even from early point on the game. I was maybe 5-6 hours in the game, and there were certain of these little skills and tasks I was doing. I died like 30, 40 times. I was like, I can't do this anymore. You know, like it gets to that point. It's just like, I can't do it anymore.
It's just fatigue at that point.
It seems like it's too punishing when you die.
I think it's too, it's not forgiving enough for what it's trying to do. I appreciate what it's doing, and I think it does it well. I would have liked more combat, like more Zelda, less Mario would have been kind of my main feedback from it. But ultimately, I thought it looked great. I thought it played great. I enjoyed what I was playing. If it wasn't so, hard.
Was it trying to be punishing at all? Like,
kind of its thing. It's like, this is a platformer for people who really platform,
Like, I would hate that.
Yeah. So if it wasn't that, I actually think there was a game there that I really liked. But the other game that I've been playing is Mario 3D World, which I have a really good story to tell. I'll try to keep it brief, but first day we got it, we sat down and playing. I'm playing a co-op with Jack. I did take a clip of me throwing Jack off the level. I just immediately, as soon as we started, just picked him up and launched him into the ether. My daughter came down, and I've told a lot of stories about me and my daughter's relationship with the Wii U, how into games she used to be and everything. She came down and had just the most heartwarmingly nice reaction. She realized that it was Mario 3D World, the game that she and I co-opted and beat together when she was little. and she just like warmed up with nostalgia. She just like welled up. She's like, "Oh, I remember this Mario. This is so good. I love this Mario." So it got to a point where we sat down and we were playing together, all three of us, which is a rare occurrence. And then she just took my Switch and kept playing. Like she just kind of went down like a 2-day rabbit hole of nostalgia where she kept playing this Mario game that she remembered when she was 5.
That's awesome.
It was really, really great. So she was playing that, and then I played a little bit, and Jack's been playing a little bit. Jack just started on his own. I wanted to do Bowser's Fury for the podcast, but I also wanted to beat the game first. And once she took my Switch, I realized that wasn't going to happen. So I booted up a little bit of Bowser's Fury. I got to the second little island level or whatnot. It is, I mean, everybody says it's good and all that, and I agree. It is very Mario Sunshine, which isn't my favorite. It's better than that, but it's not my favorite style of Mario. Is ultimately what I would say. I'm not here to say it's bad or anything like that. It's fine. I'll play it. If they do an entire game of this, like a big 3D Mario game like this, I mean, I'm sure I'll still get it and play it. But it's just not. I don't necessarily think that's what I want from Mario. It's a lot of like walking around and looking around, and it's like a collectathon. You know, like you're trying to find all the hidden areas and get all the stuff, and it's less Mario. It's less platforming and less like get to the level and beat the level and get to the flag and all that, which is what I typically prefer in my Mario games.
I remember we were talking about that with Mike Minotti, and he seems to think that could be the future for a Mario game. I think it would make the next logical step, and it's different, and you know.
I think that's very, very, very true. I think that's what I'm expecting, and I'm sure I'll play it, and hopefully I love it, right? And I do like the design. The design of Bowser's Fury is very good. I like how condensed these little islands are. Like, they're not super big, but there is a lot there. If you start to kind of peel back the layers and unlock all the little things, like there's a lot more to it than meets the eye when you first do it. And that kind of discovery is very enticing. It's just, I kind of want there to be like tunnels or something that I drop into regular Mario. Like I kind of
you want to go back to classic Mario levels in there, like you think?
In Odyssey, right? You've got those 2D things.
Yeah.
You do have those 2D Mario levels in Odyssey, for sure.
I feel like that's what's missing. Like it's just a little something to like vary it up, because right now it's just very explorative. You're just kind of walking around at your own pace, doing your own thing. It's like, you know, it doesn't even have to be a Mario game, really. Like you just kind of have Mario physics.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and the Mario power-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think like something like that, just a dash of it. I don't want a whole game of it and all that. And there's, you know, different styles of games for different type of people, but just a little dash of something like that, I think would really set this over the top for me.
Right.
What about you, Rebecca? What have you been doing?
Honestly, I haven't really been playing a whole lot of new things. In fact, I haven't played a new game in weeks. For the past couple weeks, I know we haven't really been talking about it much, but I've really just been going back and playing old Zelda games. For my stream, I've been making it a month out of celebrating Zelda's 35th anniversary. So I've been going back and playing things like Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, just like 1 or 2 streams worth, just to get a little taste and remember some of these games that I haven't played in years and years and years.
Nice.
Just kind of seeing like how the series has, you know, come along and whatnot. All games that I've played before, nothing new. I've also been playing a lot of A Link to the Past a lot recently too, because this Sunday I'm doing a speedrun race against my friend Elias Thompson, and we're gonna see who wins. I think we're close to evenly matched. So
really?
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
You were going super fast on stream.
I've been practicing.
I was like, what are you doing?
I still need to shave off like at least 25 minutes to match his personal best time. But I think if I can get it under 2 hours, it will be close to his time.
Ooh. I completely. I was going to mention this, but since you're already playing it, I pulled out my 3DS.
Yeah.
I started playing Ocarina of Time. Everybody was all in the Zelda thing, and I was going. And after one day, just one session of playing, it just made my hands hurt. I had to buy a grip. I like
you have to buy a grip for the 3DS.
I was thinking, I was like, how did I play this like religiously?
I know, right?
Years, and I was like, I'm playing already. My thumb hurts.
Try to play Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon on the 3DS. No, it cramps your hand so much.
Yeah. Guys, guess what? The 3DS turns 10 years old tomorrow.
Oh my goodness!
What a great little system.
Did you know I bought that thing day one? That was my first console I bought.
That was your first mistake.
Ambassador.
That was my first mistake. Yeah, I
did. That was not a mistake because he gets something good out of it.
Wasn't Mario Kart 7 really early? Was that a launch game?
What did you get from the ambassador thing again?
I have. Hold on. I'm gonna
a bunch of old games that you can't get anymore.
Yeah,
but you can.
Don't right now. Hold on.
3DS ambassador.
I'm looking it up right now.
He's got his 3DS.
Does it just tell you everything? See,
I did not drop it. Okay, I almost dropped my beer. That would have sucked.
Oh man,
I have it here, but we'll let Eric.
Hold on, I almost got it. If my 3DS will ever power up, sheesh. Now
Rebecca,
I put so many games in here.
you guessed it on several shows. You want to plug those while Garrett?
Okay, I got all of them right here. Never mind. Okay, Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, Metroid Fusion, Ice Climbers. So you get like NES classics in the Game Boy Advance games. NES Open Tournament Golf on NES, Metroid.
You can't buy these on 3DS though.
Yeah, you can't. Lot. I didn't realize there was that many.
It's like 10 games.
3, 4,
oh
5,
wow!
7,
I thought it was like 4 or something.
10 Game Boy Advance games and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10 NES games.
I humbly rescind my statement. It is a very nice little gift. I mean, I didn't necessarily think it was worth buying a very expensive 3DS at launch, but sure.
Yeah, no. I bought one. Is it Lego Star Wars? That was the one 3DS game I bought launch. And then Mario Kart came out.
It reminds me a lot of at least my plight with PlayStation 5 right now. It's like, I need stuff to buy, guys. But Rebecca, you were guested on several shows this week. You don't plug where those are?
I was. So I was invited back on Easy Allies Friend Code. We talked about Zelda the day before the Direct, actually. We were talking a little bit about what might be shown that was Zelda related and just kind of reliving our Zelda memories. And I met Ash Paulson on that show because he was also a guest, and he invited me onto the Good Vibes Gaming Today's News Tonight, which they started that channel recently, and it's a lot of fun. We discussed the news from Monday, and it was awesome.
So if you need more Nintendo from Rebecca, you can follow those channels on YouTube, and we retweeted all of those links on our Twitter account.
Really good people. Really, really
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
Good Vibes folks are the former Game Explained folks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of people have known them. I knew those voices almost instantly. It is interesting because I've never known their faces. So when I clicked on your link and saw it, I was like, oh, that's what he looks like.
Yeah, there's just the voices for so long. Yeah.
All right. Really, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I had to get the grip out and kept playing. And Ocarina's amazing.
Good. I've been playing quite a bit as well for the past few weeks. I'll keep it pretty brief on some of them. I've also been playing Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. I don't play much Mario games, as you know. But let me tell you guys, Mario 3D World, Donnie, it's up there. It's a really, really, really fun game. It is. I'm having a lot more fun than Odyssey, and 64. Definitely,
it's fantastic. It's so good.
I don't know how they just made it so much. In this game, it is short, concise, but very fun. Like it seems pretty fast. I was actually quite shocked how far I was going into the game in such a short time. I just love everything about it. And the
those
design
fights. He's like in the suit in the car and stuff. Like,
yeah,
those are epic moments that I really like. I felt like 6, 5, 7 years ago, like the wide linear was like a thing in game design. We kept hearing, and what we were talking about were like mini open worlds. And I think like that's what this Mario, like what Mario 3D World is like a wide linear. You still have Mario courses, but you can run around and find things kind of in the course.
It was kind of cute like timer. That,
yeah. So, but that exploration is neat, and it's kind of exactly what I was saying about Bowser's Fury, just flipped. Right? Like it's the same thing, except more 2D instead of 3D. But a lot of the things that they do, like the shadows that we've come across them to, like the whole Shadow World and stuff and Odyssey and stuff, that comes from there. Captain Toad stuff comes from there. The power-ups, the flip jumps, like the flip levels where you flip the gates and the gates keep flipping and the tiles keep changing.
You keep jumping and it changes the tiles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cap powers is amazing. And then when you have cap powers, there's certain places you can get to in certain levels and get the stars you want. It makes me want 100% this game because I've beaten it. I've gotten beaten as in world credits. There's like 4 or 5 other worlds after. But yeah, I love the final level with Bowser. I thought that was very creative. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed myself that weekend playing Mario 3D World.
This makes me really happy.
Yeah,
makes me want to get it.
it's so worth the $60, especially with Bowser's Fury. I like Bowser's Fury, not probably as much as 3D World, but I still like the powers in there, especially the cat powers for sure. I liked how it is open world, but it is compartmentalized. Like the map kind of directs you exactly where to go in the world, and it's like, hey, there's like an exclamation mark here. You need to get some of these coins or cat stars or whatever you want to call them. I love the little mechanic of Bowser coming up every, I don't know, like 5 minutes or something like that. And he pops up and then
if you
he's
pull
like,
out your amiibo, you can call him whenever you want.
really? Well, I don't have the amiibo, so.
My amiibo are sitting right here. All 4 of them.
All your little chips.
And I've been using them, when I was playing the game.
I
Jack
bet.
was playing the game. Did you guys see Jack?
I
He's
didn't see
streaming.
him play the game, but
Yeah, I set up a little streaming station here at my desk. Got a little TV out that's been sitting in a closet and set up a little Switch dock because, like we can stream from the consoles directly, but we can't stream Switch. And I was like, well, I got to stream Mario Golf anyway, so we might as well just go ahead and get this done now. So
Nice.
So yeah, loving that game. I'm putting it on pause right now. I'm playing some Persona 5 Strikers right now. I won't put too much impressions. I want to play more of it, and I'll talk about it more next week. But I'm
probably right there with you, at least putting a Mario on hold. I've already played it.
Yeah.
My Strikers got lost in the mail. I've
What
been
the
waiting
heck?
for Strikers to show up, and I've been checking every day, and it said ship, but there was no tracking number, there's no label, there's no details. So today, I got all angry gamer, and I called Best Buy, and I was like, what? Where's the game? I was like, I realize that shipping delays and stuff are happening, but like, I don't even have tracking number. I don't even know where it is.
Right.
Game came out 2 days ago. Like, I want to play.
Right.
And they were like, it's lost. So they refunded me my money was their answer. So I could either go pick up a copy, like physically. I just bought it on Switch. I was like, well, I guess I have a lot of Switch eShop credit from my trade-in at GameStop. I just converted into Nintendo gift cards.
Okay.
So I'm going to play it on Switch.
Surprising. Best Buy is usually very good with shipping. They usually get it on release day.
Bummed that I don't get my Steelbook. I'm going to have to get a Steelbook.
Yeah, you're going to have to get it somehow.
I'm so bummed that I'm not going to get my Steelbook. There's a part of me hoping it just shows up one day, and I'll just have
Just
2 copies.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. I just think it's gone. But I started playing it tonight, so I'm with you, Garrett. I'll be putting Mario 3D World on hold or Bowser's Fury on hold. I'm going to dive in a lot into Persona Strikers this weekend. So hopefully next weekend we can bore Rebecca to tears while we talk about Persona Strikers.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
30 minutes.
So I am about 2.5 hours in. And even in 2.5 hours in, be prepared, Donnie. This is not a war. This is Persona 5.2.
I'm hoping this is the new spinoff. They had the arena game. They had the dancing games. I'm hoping the new Persona spinoff is Persona Strikers.
It is, but I feel like it's more Persona.
Going forward. Like, I want
forward.
2, 3, 4 of these. I want them to keep making these.
I definitely want just dancing games and this warrior-style games, for sure. But I want you to play it because you love the warrior-style dynamic, and it feels like, to me, they've really muted that in this game. Okay. So I'm wondering what
I played a little bit today. I mean, I was enjoying the Persona stuff. I always liked. The least thing that I liked about the Persona were like the random Pokemon turn-based battles. So for me, I'm getting the Persona that I like with more fun combat. It's like they've taken the piece that I don't like out and they've replaced it with something that I think is better. Yeah. So, and I know that's blasphemous. Like, I can only imagine like just
Persona fans are
bleeding from the ears,
enraged right now.
Yeah, but like turn-based stuff. I mean, I've told you I don't do cards. I don't do turn-based stuff. Is really like Pokemon and Fire Emblem. About the only turn-based stuff you're going to get out of me.
I get
it. That's about it. So
I get it. But yeah, Persona 5. I'm having fun. It's just a lot of dialogue, and then like there's still tutorials. Like 2.5 hours in, I'm like, oh, you're still handing me stuff. Awesome. This is a JRPG.
It's a Persona game.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a 30-hour game? 30, 40, 50-hour game?
I think it's more than. I think it's a 40 or 50-hour game.
40 or 50.
So half of Persona 5.
I was gonna say, so it's more of the warriors and hours.
I have not. I'm in the little bit that I got to play before we started recording. The visuals and the performance have not bothered me yet. I've only played it handheld. I haven't played it on the screen yet. I'll do that later this weekend. But so far, I think it looks great on Switch. A little edgy, but nothing that
It's even edgy on PS4.
It's not.
Frame rate. Yeah.
I'm enjoying, just from a strict performance analysis, I'm enjoying it more than Calamity so far.
That's true.
Which is what we heard from reviews. So.
Yeah. I'll put a pin on that, but I played Project Triangle Strategy. I did.
Sean Capri's Game of the Year?
Sean Capri, Game of the Year, Project Triangle Strategy. It is, it's really good. It is very Fire Emblem-esque.
In my head, I imagine you being like, it's awful.
It's like, oh, it's terrible.
I can't say that though.
Can't say that at all. No, it is a old school tactical RPG if I've seen any, and it with a really cool of that, 2D, 3D art style, that pixel art style in there. There's a lot of lore in this demo. It's like, oh, okay, this is just getting into the story, whatever. What I really liked, other than the game, is that you have these story choices or decisions to make within the game that actually changes the way you go through it. Very similar to the Octopath Traveler, but instead of like all 8 separate stories, it's one linear story that you're kind of affecting everything in like a timeline.
I think that's better. That feels better.
Yeah, that's good.
Definitely. So the premise of the demo is basically this one nation kind of like rampaged another nation. The prince escaped to like a side city or whatever. And so in that side city, in that mission, you're going to have to persuade one way or the other to give up the prince in order to like have a peaceful resolution, or to defend the prince with your life and have a major battle. And so that's one of the biggest kind of decision making in this demo. I decided to defend the prince, and I had a huge battle in that city that had a cool little mechanic of like kind of like a secret weapon where you like burn your houses in there in order to do a large area effect and like kill a lot of soldiers in there. But you got to be very tactical about it so you don't kill your own soldiers. You got classes, you got mages, you got warriors, you got knights. So you got everything that is like a Fire Emblem, essentially. There is some tactics when you have adjacent like allies or enemies one another. There's some tactics when you have height advantages. Yeah, it's just all that good stuff. So I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it for next year. One downside of it, the load times. The load times were kind of rough.
There was a demo, couldn't it? I'm sure maybe it'll be better for the actual game.
Maybe, but like there's a lot of
HD art, man.
I know, it's very cool art. There's so many side missions in here too. They're not really battles, they're just conversation dialogue. And so I would wait 30 seconds to go into a dialogue of 10 seconds. And I'm like, this is kind of like, yeah, it's a little annoying. It just slows down the pace and it seems a little weird. So hopefully they'll iron that out. Hopefully there's not as much like, it just seems like they're putting these on purpose. Like, oh, manually go to the side mission to do this 10-second dialogue. I wish it was just a little more automatic than that. But yeah, it's really good. And any tactical RPG fans, guys, it's a demo on Switch. Just download it, check it out. It's free. So yeah, go for it. And guys, I'm getting into shape. You know how I'm getting into shape? It's Ring Fit Adventure. This is a very, very cool game. Basically, it's like kind of like one of the best wearable technologies I've seen with a video game console. You basically put the Joy-Con on kind of like a leg strap that goes around like above your knee, and then you put another Joy-Con on the ring, and it kind of like just tracks your movement wherever you go. And so you're basically this person that goes through each stage. You kind of like jogging in a sense, and then kind of like your objective is to like beat this boss at the end. He's this super cool like super buff guy that thinks he's so cool, and you have to like beat him down with these various workouts. And then like these various workouts, it's like a move set. It's like you can do some arm workouts or with your legs or with your abs, and there's a lot of diverse workouts you can do. You can basically like
you can turn up the resistance and the levels, and it gets harder. I mean, it's a Ring Fit is actually a very good workout. It's not like Wii Fit. It's not like a joke workout. This is a legit workout that you can actually do from home. I was halfway expecting them to possibly announce like a DLC or an expansion pass.
I think they still could.
I think with it being this long, I feel like maybe now a sequel is in order. Maybe they come out with a sequel that they can sell with like an extra accessory, but not the ring. I could see something like they could kind of piecemeal it. So like you get the game or you could get the game in the ring.
Maybe. I think that's kind of risky, though, because the only reason why people went out and bought this, to be honest with you, is because of the pandemic, and they were going to be home and needed workouts. So all of these people have the Ring Fit in the game, so I think they would probably be better off just making downloadable content for it.
I agree.
Or
I
just
think
like
it would
buying another game itself and just using the ring.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Just use the same technology.
It would have to use the same ring, I think.
Yeah, it would have to. Yeah, no, and that's what I was thinking is, maybe now they release another $60 full game with like the ring, right? Like they have the ring. So you could either buy the game if you've already gotten it, or you could get the ring, and because they already have this install base that's kind of evangelized it, right?
Yeah.
I definitely expect to hear more from it. It's sold incredibly well. Didn't it like sell like better than Splatoon, or it's like right there in that
January
range?
It was like number 6
like
out of all the games,
best selling.
There were months where you couldn't get it, you couldn't buy it.
It's super neat. I feel like so some workouts I feel like I'm not doing enough, and then there's other times where I feel like I'm just struggling and dying. And that's like on the same difficulty level. So it really does depend level to level sometimes, and the movesets you're kind of doing. They do fix like the number of like workouts you're doing in a level, and you're gonna have to switch them out probably every level in order to like kind of go really diverse with it. Dev says, need to send my Joy-Cons off to fix the drift for a Ring Fit. It doesn't use the
just take the
joystick at all.
Out, Dev. Just rip it out.
Just rip it out.
The thing, and you're good to go.
Exactly. It just tracks movement and then like resistance on the ring itself. It knows how much power you're putting onto the ring basically when you're bending it.
Just Dev, make sure you send your PlayStation controllers in too when you do it at the same time. Get those
basically
fixed as well.
Yeah. I'm on difficulty level like 26 out of 30, and I think I'm about to bump up like another 1 or 2, but like it can be a struggle in that game for sure. And I'm only on like world 4, and it looks like there's many more worlds to go. So it's a long game. I mean, you can do lots of different workouts. I keep forgetting it is an RPG kind of game where you have to buy equipment and you have to buy potions in order to like kind of beat a level.
That's cool.
So not just working out, but, make sure you have the items in order to like beat the whole thing. And it's cool that the monsters have like different advantages too. So like one monster is like, okay, you need to do arm workouts for this in order to like kind of do some more damage to it. But yeah, super fun, guys. I'm actually quite surprised with it.
Nice.
That's pretty much it.
All right, well, we'll be back next week with more Persona and lots of other games. But like I alluded to at the top of the show, we have a lot to get through. So let's start with Nintendo Direct Fallout. And I really wanted to get this on because one of the downsides of being, up so fast, kind of living in the moment and talking about it is you're getting like our initial impressions, right? Coming right off the Direct, we hit record and we go. Now we have like a week to sit back. And I mentioned last week on the show, I asked Rebecca because I had heard a little, I'd seen a couple tweets. I didn't realize it was going to be as widespread as it became. Most of the internet really thinks that the Direct was bad. That seems to be the case. A lot of people, I know like IGN, I was listening to Game Scoop. They had like a whole 40 minutes about how bad it was. That's a real thing. Which, look, I'm not here to prove them wrong or tell anybody that they're not allowed to have it. I remember, Garrett, you were last week, you said you gave it a 7.
Yeah, it was. Right. It was good. Like
I didn't want to argue about it because it's your opinion. Like you're allowed to have your opinion, right?
Other people thought this was trash.
But
apparently,
with regards to that, I wanted to start here because I'm going to push the Skyward Sword. I think a lot of it has to do with Skyward Sword. So let's move that into a separate kind of bullet point here. I think it's objectively wrong to call this Direct bad. And I have a really hard time coming to grips with anybody that thinks it's bad. And my only evidence really that I even need to present to make that case is other directs. This was objectively better than a lot of other directs that we've had. I could point you to many over the last 10 years that weren't even bad, but were definitely not as good as this past one, which made me really kind of think. And oftentimes I get in my own head about these things, and I think they're good for. I think they're good podcast like conversations, because it's like the part of me that I kept coming back to is, if you think it was bad, then what would have made it good? And I think a lot of people, like, their answer is Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid.
Yeah, like you need certain games.
People were whining for one of those two things. And like Breath of the Wild 2, I won't call it whining. They announced the game. It's been a while since we've seen it. I understand it. I get it. I don't agree that like they have to show it to you or therefore a show is bad, because, and I feel like I'm just kind of being the voice of reason here, is a Zelda game. We waited on Breath of the Wild for like 7 years. Like, that's kind of how Zelda games go. Big Zelda games. That's the way it is. And I know a lot of people thought or expected it to be out this year or now, but you were wrong. Like, they never dated it. And just because it wasn't there doesn't make it bad. In this direct, though, we got a ton of games. Just so, what do we have, like 30 games that we went through last week? 30 of them?
From like the first half of the year, mostly.
Exactly. Like 30 games. We got a ton of games.
Because the games don't, just because the direct didn't cater to your wants specifically doesn't make it a bad direct.
Yeah, we got a Mario Golf game. We got EA games. We got a reveal for Splatoon, which is that's a huge reveal.
We got a lot of Japanese Weeaboo games. Like,
we got a Zelda remaster that's also huge. It's like, what did you want? And a lot of
they ignored Breath of the Wild 2. They said, we're going to give you information about it when we're ready later this year. It's not like they swept it under the rug and forgot about it. They told us it's coming. Like, we're better off, Zelda fans, we're better off than most other Nintendo franchises right now.
Ooh, Kyle coming in with the Fall Guys. We got Fall Guys on Switch. Like, that was objectively a good direct. Like, to call it a bad direct feels like clickbait.
It's whiny. I think it's a lot of people that are entitled because they didn't get specifically the specific things that they wanted this time.
I think that's the case. There was a lot of people that try to criticize it. It was like, well, we needed that one major game that they announced like 3 years ago. And I remember when we were talking about it, our initial expectations before the presentation, we didn't expect Breath of the Wild 2 to be in there. We didn't expect Metroid to be in there. So.
Like last year, and I feel really good about my predictions for the year. Mm-hmm. Really good. I feel like I nailed it.
You really did. With the Mario Golf, I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
That's just sure happenstance, but like, yeah, I'm not expecting Breath of the Wild 2 this year. For a lot of reasons, which we're going to get into. But yeah, it was this direct bad. And I think by a lot of like very popular influencers, that was a train that I was very not shocked, because like it's YouTube. Like, how can you be shocked by it? Like, that's what they do, right? Somebody does something that's popular, everybody copies it and does the same thing, same thumbnail 30 different times. I mean, I was a little just caught off guard, I guess. I was just like, wow, this is bad. Now this is what equals bad. Because, and to Garrett, what I would have argued, like if I wanted to argue about your 7, is if this is a 7, then boy, that's a high bar. Because I guarantee you going forward, if you think this direct was bad, going forward, most directs won't meet this direct. Like, it just won't. You won't have 30 games. You won't have these kind of reveals. You won't have that many, because most directs don't.
Well, I think I rated myself just based off of personal preference.
Sure.
Like,
and I'm not taking. I'm just using you as an example to kind of make my case. I'm not. I know like 7's a good score. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even worried about your number. It's just kind of like the idea. You know, like this direct wasn't good enough. It's like, man, you stack this up against other directs, and it's definitely like in the top tier.
We even got a Smash. I go to Roberto in chat says even the Smash reveal was hype. I don't even
really
like the Smash fighter, but we got a Smash fighter, and I know this is one that a lot of people really wanted.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's real interesting.
The other impression I hear, not just bad, but like just throwing it off like it's casual. Like, it's like, oh, this was gonna be huge. It's like, now we just got Mario Golf. Oh, okay, cool.
I think
That's it. Like, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from these influencers.
For the people that didn't like it, we saw mostly games that are coming in the first half of the year, meaning we're probably going to get a direct sometime in June-ish.
Yeah, there's still more to come.
Around E3 time because we have to know what's coming in the second half of the year. We don't know yet.
I thought from the start it was going to be a banger year for software. I think we're going to have a lot of games. Like, your wallet's going to hurt this year if you're a hardcore enthusiast Switch owner. I think you're buying 10, 12, maybe more games, like easy. You have a lot of games.
Maybe not, because apparently they don't like the things that we like.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, I mean, and I do know a part of me, when I was thinking about this really hard, like, I get it. I said in Discord the day of, like, best direct ever. No More Heroes, Mario Golf, like, and that happened. So, like, I get that this direct was tailored to me. I got the games that I want, so I get that. But even that said, like, I'm almost kind of like removing myself from those two games and just even looking at the other games that were there. You know, it's like people just kind of throw Splatoon away like it's not. That's a huge announcement.
That's Splatoon 3. That's
gigantic announcement.
Huge.
I think it's hilarious. They're like, but no Metroid. It's like Splatoon 1 sold more than every Metroid game combined. It's a big deal.
I think it's for Nintendo's New York store, where it has Mario, Isabelle, the Inkling, and Link kind of like running in a line. And those are the four main franchises that Nintendo cares about right now. They care. Those are the top four. Whether people like to admit it or not, Animal Crossing and Splatoon have wedged their way up there with Mario.
That's true. And Link. Definitely.
So people need to remember that.
And as Kyle says, Nintendo Directs are still the superior showcase. One of my favorite tweets that I've ever done was today's after the PlayStation show. I was like, and people thought the Direct was bad. Like, if you compare it to other like shows, it's like, man, that was a really good showing. But who knows? Maybe we're just fanboys. And you know what? That's our job. This is the Nintendo Shack. We're big Nintendo fans. So yeah, it's our job to bring that perspective. Okay. I talked about Skyward Sword. I think a lot of people's enthusiasm with this direct and the people that maybe it didn't hit for, I think a lot of it is centered around Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword's been kind of not through the mud as per se, but there's a lot of people that have made a lot of arguments, arguing about the price. They're arguing about the additions, the lack thereof. Lots of interesting things. Let's start with the $60. I don't know why anybody's shocked that Skyward Sword is $60. Guys, Miitopia is $60. Everything Nintendo releases on console is $60.
Miitopia is $60.
I saw a lot of people online, like a very common narrative was the Mass Effect trilogy is $60 and Uncharted or Halo is $60. And it's like, yeah. So I guess the idea of that take, like putting that take on your Twitter is to like pull out the hypocrisy in gaming. But that's a known thing. We all know that to be true. Console players got to pay for patches. Like, not every remaster sells for the same. Not every collection sells for the same. The idea is, it has nothing to do with like the amount of content or what the content is. The idea is that it is a new console release game, and those typically go for $60.
Especially because it's Zelda. It's going to sell for $60. Zelda. People are comparing it to the $40 trilogies that Activision puts out.
But
those
guess what?
Do not sell for $60 the way that Skyward Sword will.
Guess what the number one retail pre-order on Amazon was?
Skyward Sword.
It was Skyward Sword. So it's like, it's hilarious because everybody whines about this with Nintendo, and then like it happens, and then everybody buys it, and it sells 8 million copies, and you're like, yeah, they're gonna keep doing that. And I'm not pointing out to like say they're wrong. I just think it's funny that like we're always pointing out like the differences in. And one of the things that like these past consoles really made me very aware of is that every company is held to a different standard because that's how they've conditioned their fans. And there are tons of these double standards across the console platforms, across PC, across games, even within the same company, across franchises. Oh, yeah. Some franchises just mean more than others. It's just the truth. It's reality. So what's the point in pointing it out?
All the money.
I mean, was Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, they were individual games for $60?
I paid $60 each.
Sure. I mean, we should expect this, actually. Like, we should expect $60.
We're very lucky that Nintendo hasn't already started charging $70 for these games.
That's a very good
They're
point.
Like, oh, wait, Sony's
That's
doing it?
That's a very good point.
We can do it too, then.
Well, but we're lucky that they haven't yet.
That's true.
I was very critical of the way that, not very critical. I wasn't very critical. I had to defend myself very, very strongly against Caroline and Rebecca and a little Twitter thread. I was critical of the way that I thought Skyward Sword looked. I will say that I went back and I watched the full HD trailer on demand. I could see it in its best form. I think it looks better than maybe I was giving it credit for. It does look pretty clean. It's a very nice picture. It seems to be on par with the Dolphin. Like, as much as I could put them side by side, they seem to be really, really close.
It's just, up-resing and then fixing up the textures. I mean, I feel like that's all you can really ask for, other than doing a massive rehaul or more lighting. I don't know.
I know we talked about this last week, but man, for years and years and years, the only conversation I ever heard about Skyward Sword is if they ever remake it, for them to add traditional controls. And now that they went and did that, and they didn't have to,
people give them no credit.
And they're not even talking about it. But
they're like, whatever.
Conversation around Skyward Sword for the past 10 years. And now that they did it, nobody cares.
Skyward Sword's one of the least selling big 3D Zelda games, correct?
I think
in terms of I think a large part of that is people that don't realize how ingrained motion controls are. I think people are thinking like Wii Sports. People don't realize how accurate and it was a big deal to remake those controls. It's not like a thing they went in and flipped. They didn't go into an emulator and flip on the setting. They had to remake the control scheme. They did more to this than they did for the Mario collection.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
They absolutely did.
For sure.
Just in controls alone, and then on top of that, we're getting some sort of Amiibo support according to the page.
Way rather than put all the effort into the controls, which is what people have been talking about, which I think is the thing that really matters here, than making the graphics look absolutely stellar or making every single quality of life change that people have been asking for. I think the controls thing is the most important thing that people have been talking about for the past 10 years.
100% agree with you. Absolutely. I would not have pre-ordered the game if they had released it with traditional motion controls.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have pre-ordered it, and I totally pre-ordered it, and I'm very excited.
I think that could have been something people would get mad about, but they did it, and they didn't have to.
And the $60 thing is just strange. Like, people are so hung up on that. It's like, I understand that collections, and there are games that hit 40 and stuff like that, but Nintendo games don't.
No,
so, what a weird expectation for you to have them. Like, that's such a weird, what did you expect them to roll out Skyward Sword HD for $20? Like, that's never going to happen. Oh. It was never on the table.
I think they just people like to complain.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah. I mean, Twitter does become kind of like an easy avenue to do that. And you see somebody doing it, it's easy for everybody to kind of jump on that wagon. So they're entitled to have that. They're entitled to have that. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being upset over it. It's just, it's just not very realistic, I guess, is the best way of putting it. More Zelda seemed to be on the way, though, after the Direct. And while we were recording, after the show, several journalists and influencers went on to make tweets or posts or blogs that seem to indicate that more Zelda games are coming, with both Andy Robinson from VCG and Tom Phillips from Humor Gamer both teasing, if you will, that give it a couple months. Those Wind Waker and Twilight games will be on the way.
Oh, I will give it a couple of months.
Jeff Grubb's article on this was very, very good. It makes sense, the whole plan. So, I mean, I do see it as they're going to let Skyward Sword simmer. They're going to let it get the sales. Then come August, September, right around the same time frame that we had for the Mario. They probably won't even give us too much notice. They'll say, oh, by the way, in 3 weeks, you can play Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
A lot of people are hoping for a double pack. I've seen some people hope for another game, like a 3-pack. I said it 3 or 4 weeks ago on the show. I'd be happy if they don't make us buy them all individually, but if they did, I'd still buy them individually.
I would still buy probably Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. No joke. I want to play them.
So I did say before, I don't see them doing a double pack because they could get their money's worth and sell them for $60 each. But I think if they're going to go the route of putting both of them out on the shelves for this Christmas alongside Skyward Sword's first Christmas on the shelf, I think they will do a double pack just because I think they can probably get more sales out of a bundle of the two of them than probably each one individually if they were separate. I think it's more kind of bang for the buck.
A double pack makes it almost a no-brainer.
Yeah. I think
Whereas if you were doing one or the other, somebody might buy one,
that's exactly.
but not the other.
Yeah. Whereas more people will buy the bundle because you're right. It's this value. It's 2 great Zelda games.
Yeah, double pack for $60. I find these 2 games. I know that they're like close in timeline wise, but like they're very different games.
They're extremely different.
Yeah, they are.
That's a weird thing, I think,
be.
with double pack.
But unlike Skyward Sword, this is the first time it's been remastered. This is new. These aren't new. These are relatively current.
Right, they're ports.
They came out a couple years ago, so they're ports. So that also kind of lends credit to do the double pack. Just throw the little extra in there, just to keep it going.
I don't know.
No, I hear what you're saying, Garrett. I think that's a good point because marketing wise, how would that look? Like, you're right.
Like
it would be very like relatively dark, gritty, mature Zelda versus happy to.
I'm just thinking
if
of
they
like
sell it as the anniversary edition.
I'm just
That's all
thinking
they
of a
gotta really do is slap that
non-Zelda
on the cover.
like fan, like a non-Zelda Switch owner. It's like I see this double pack, and it's like, okay, these are these old games. I'm thinking of a mom trying to for a present for a kid. It's like, what is this double pack of Zelda?
It does
whatever.
look very conflicting to somebody who's not a Zelda fan. I agree.
Yeah.
With Garrett. Yeah.
Mushroom asks, do you think we could see a bundle for more than $60, but not the price of the 2 full games?
No, I don't think
Nintendo normally doesn't do that, but just to give that question some clearance, maybe they could do like, let's say they did release them separately. Maybe they're $60 each.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them doing some sort of, if you buy both on the eShop, then you get a discount because they do that sometimes.
I don't want to buy them on the eShop though. I want them for my club.
I know. I was saying, let's say they release them individually, $60
Mm-hmm.
each. I could see them doing some sort of bundle. I think they're going to be a double pack. I don't think there's another game, but if there is, let's just get it out there. Let's entertain. They're going to throw a third game in there, and they're going to make it the anniversary collection. What game is it?
It would have to be Ocarina of Time, and I say that because I think that would make more sense with the marketing thing that me and Garrett are talking about, because you have Ocarina of Time as your main game, and then maybe they'll acknowledge the timeline and say this is how it splits. The downfall timeline is Wind Waker. The whatever is
sure,
because that's how they connect. You're right, Garrett. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess don't really connect without Ocarina in that equation.
Oh, okay.
But I also don't see them acknowledging the timeline in marketing.
Does it make any? Yeah, I was going to say I don't think that matters, but it's a good point. And I was going to say, I mean, it's completely different though with Mario, because Mario is not really a campaign, but like the 3 games we got in the Mario collection are also extremely different. Like Sunshine 64 and Galaxy are very different in terms of like the genre
Mario
of Mario
games, though.
Yeah, I mean, I know that,
but I mean,
same
style too.
Zeldas are the 3D Zelda games. Like
No,
they're very different in the same way. Like Galaxy is extremely different from Sunshine.
But it's not the same difference as like a dark, gritty Zelda.
100% get it. Like I said, it doesn't make as much sense with Mario. I mean, personally, I just don't know if that would stop them from. I don't think it's going to stop them.
Oh yeah, they're gonna sell.
It's the Wii U HD pack. Like, see, it's like the ports just make sense because of they've both been remastered, both released near the similar time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it makes sense. I want to say I'm not convinced that they won't just be separate releases. A lot of people are saying they will, so I'll believe, but I just don't want to get my hopes up because I will buy them separately if they come out.
We'll be spending $120 this September.
I will. You know what? To the people that hate Skyward Sword for $60, I will happily give you $60 for Wind Waker. I'd pay more. I'd happily pay more for Wind Waker if they would
tell Nintendo that.
If they could let me do it today, let me do it today, and I will give you more. I will absolutely give you more.
They're listening.
I can also see a double pack, and then also if you sell them individually in the eShop, it'd be like $40 each.
I could see that. That's something I could see very much.
You think they're going to sell it for less than $60 on the eShop?
Well, if there's a double pack,
so I'm just saying I think they could.
Yeah.
I don't
think they go the double pack route.
What they normally do, and it's not them. Let me be clear. Nintendo doesn't normally do this, but what we've seen a lot of folks in the eShop do, so I know that like their system's a place to do it. If you buy one, then you get a discount on the other.
That's what Zangbar just said in chat. Yeah,
that happens a lot on the eShop with different games, and I could see maybe Nintendo wanting to be nice and doing something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe for a limited period of time. Like you've got to buy it for, like if you buy by the end of the month.
Oh no! They're listening. Not talking.
Don't do it.
I will only say this just to offer a different take, because I agree with you, Rebecca. Ocarina seems to make sense. But ever since I've seen Link's Awakening on Switch, I've long wondered if Link Between Worlds might make its way over at some point again. And I could see that being something. Like, I could definitely see that being like a thing. I think it's a very good game.
It is a very good and very underrated game. I don't think a lot of people really played Link Between Worlds as
I think it would be crazy to throw that in a collection. I think that's something you port on its own.
Yeah,
personally,
sure.
I'm just throwing this out there. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't think it's real, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Especially with that one, they need to do a lot more upresing and stuff. They can't. I don't think it's as easy as moving Wind Waker and Twilight Princess from Wii U to Switch. I think there's much more work involved with getting it from 3DS to.
Absolutely. Did you, was I the only one? Like, when you played Link's Awakening on Switch, did you also kind of think, I was like, man, Link Between Worlds would be really cool like this?
I haven't played Link's Awakening on Switch.
Never mind.
So there you go.
I did have a question here. Now that we've digested for over a week, how do we feel about this Direct now? Because I had a couple things that I wanted to highlight. First and foremost, those Joy-Cons. I have them pre-ordered. As I've slept on them, I don't think I'm going to keep them.
Oh, okay.
I went and bought my own Zelda Joy-Cons off Etsy. I posted pictures in Rebecca's Discord. I will post pictures on Twitter when they actually arrive. The more and more I stare at them, I think the less I like them. I mentioned before, the color thing is weird to me, that they're so close in shade. I don't like that, but I get it. Most Joy-Cons are sold as different colors. Like, that doesn't bother me. But even like the design themselves, like the inlays, Rebecca, ever since you kind of brought up like those symbols, like I can't, it's not the one, like the Skyward wing, I'm good with. It's the other one. It's the Triforce, like the weird thing that go. I'm like, what is that? Why is this here?
I wonder if you like scrape it off, so it's just
kind of like, seriously. The more I look at it, and you know what it is. I think it's this Monster Hunter Joy-Con. Like, I'm like, man,
pretty close.
Look how good these are.
Oh, okay.
And then look at these. These are like the off-brand version of those.
Interesting.
Zelda deserves better. They could have done better. They could have done a better job of those Joy-Cons, I think.
I actually had them in my cart, and then I thought for a second, it's like, am I ever going to use these? Probably not, like, at all. And it's like, what function do I have other than to keep them and collect them? I'm not a Zelda fan. I just kind of...
They look
they're
better.
Pretty on my shelf is what...
Exactly.
They look a lot better when you put the grip on them. With the grip, they look a lot better together than without the grip. I do think that's a real thing. And I do think the color thing, like, I'm very interested why you haven't seen them on a Switch. There's no marketing pictures of them on a Switch that I've seen. And I looked for it. I was like Googling and thinking, I think it's because of the way they look. I think when you put them on the Switch, I think you're gonna be like, it's just a little weird because it's so close in shade. And like, I get it and I understand why and everything. It's just from a visual, from an eye perspective, I think it just throws me off.
I wish they were both that dark indigo color. I think that's really nice.
That would have been nice. I agree with you. So anything else, you guys, now you've slept on about a week or so, you got anything else that you may have changed a bit on the Direct?
I actually just went like through bits and pieces today of the Direct just to see, okay, what are the actual games that were coming out and whatever. I was like, guys, this was like, there's a lot of good stuff in there. There was at least like half of that stuff I'm interested in. I did a markup on Twitter, basically what games I'm interested in, what I'm actually going to buy. It was like 80% of those games. Like, I'm either for sure getting or
that's successful. That's a successful marketing pitch.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I don't think it was a bad Direct. Like, it's far away from a bad Direct, but it was pretty good. Yeah.
Rebecca?
Same. I think I feel pretty much the same as I did last week. Regardless of how many games I actually get due to my own preferences, I do think that there is stuff, there's plenty there that I would find it very hard to believe that there isn't at least one or two things that nearly everybody who has a Nintendo Switch would like. I think there was a large variety, and I think due to the fact that it was mostly focused on the first half of the year, gives you hope for the second half of the year if maybe there wasn't a lot of stuff here. But man, ending on Splatoon 3, it could have been just Splatoon 3, and I would have felt great about it.
You're over the moon.
Just because I had that so like set in my mind that wasn't going to happen on the Switch.
Yeah. I remember.
That was pretty big.
I have like fought you guys on it. I told you there will be no Splatoon.
I totally thought it was coming. Yeah.
I fought you guys on it, and I was wrong, and I could not be more over the moon to be wrong about.
Your Mario Kart argument makes sense because of how well it sells, but like the Splatoon one, I never got because Splatoon 2 definitely did feel like an enhanced port. It was
a half
the
step.
similar but better.
Didn't think I felt confident enough in it,
but like a brand new one. Because like, and ultimately, my only argument against Splatoon for you was just I see another 3 or 4 years in the Switch at least. And that's if they don't extend it by keep upgrading models. So that means they definitely need another Splatoon. like it has to. Like you can't go that long without it. They don't think they have enough software to hold up on.
If they had continued the events in Splatoon 2, it might have been different. But
yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
The fact that it's ended and they've been developing, makes sense.
Can't wait.
I did dig into the No More Heroes trailer a little bit. I know a lot of people don't want to know the insight to that, but I think it looks good. The gameplay that they showed, I thought looked a little rough.
I actually looked at that trailer today too. I was like, this kind of looks blurry and rough.
The gameplay elements, like the CG stuff looks great. Like the cutscenes.
Yeah, the
amazing.
CG looks fine. Yeah.
I don't know how about the alien stuff. Like we've had like weird, crazy characters in No More Heroes forever, but I do like the assassins that they had human elements to them. I have faith in Suda that I'll enjoy it because I like the other two. So who knows? I imagine it will be a lot of the same. So I'm, but there was a part of me just a little. I'm just like, I hope they nail it because the fact that like, they're all aliens, it's like the Space Jam thing. It's like, we'll see. It's definitely a departure. The mini games look cool, and I do expect that. I mean, the game will look better by the time it ships. Like it's further away than I was expecting. I was expecting to be soon. If you would asked me, if you would have told me like, Donnie, the direct today is going to have No More Heroes on it. You get to predict when it's out. I'd be like, no later than May. And the fact that, like, it's pushed, like, there's still some time for them to do some polish.
For sure. It looks kind of I don't know. There's a lot going on in that trailer.
It doesn't look AAA. It never has.
Yeah, okay.
But No More Heroes 2, especially the port of No More Heroes 2, like the new one, looks cleaner.
Right.
Than the new game does. And I think that's interesting. I would like to see it again. I would like to see more of it. Instead of like you said, there's a lot of cuts. You get a cut of a minigame, a cut of a CG, a cut of gameplay, there's a lot of cuts. I'd like to see 15 minutes of gameplay. I'd like to really see the game.
Right.
Kyle asks, will The Legend of Zelda 35th anniversary have more directs after the Mario 35th are delisted and discontinued?
When do they get discontinued? End of March?
March 31st.
Probably.
D-Day.
Probably one direct.
I think not after March 31st. I think after Skyward Sword. I think it'll be the end of Mario.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I was thinking last week. I was like, well, you can announce the stuff after Skyward Sword, so then the sticker shock and them being different doesn't really matter all that much. Get Skyward Sword out the door. By the way, we got more Zelda for you. Keep playing Zelda games.
Yep.
Speaking of Zelda, happy anniversary, Zelda. Was Sunday was the anniversary of Zelda? And then you two have your own little anniversary here, as Rebecca reminded me that February 21st of last year marked the first episode that Garrett and Rebecca joined the Nintendo Shack, and we have been running ever since. I wanted to ask just because of the anniversary, what's your favorite Zelda game and why? Or if you choose, your favorite Zelda memory. And then I wanted to ask you two, how has a year of Nintendo Shack been?
I'll go first. Favorite Zelda game. I still think it's A Link to the Past, but I haven't played it in such a long time. The only reason why I pick A Link to the Past because I have a lot of childhood memory and connection with my grandmother, playing together a lot with her. It was more like me taking over the controller and spending all of her lives on like the last few levels, so I wasn't really knowing what to do. But every time I go back to Link to the Past, I know, right? It's it's hilarious. My grandma didn't enjoy it, but every time I play Link to the Past, like hear the music, see the graphics, and like that nostalgia just fills up instantly for me, for sure. That's kind of like my favorite game and favorite moments.
I also have to say A Link to the Past as well for very similar reasons. It was my first Zelda game. I have a lot of memories of playing it with my dad. My favorite memories are always just getting a new game and playing with him. He loves Zelda just as much as I do, and it's the only video game that he plays, and he has done crazy things like camp out at Best Buy or Walmart or Circuit City or whatever it was to go get the Wii for me so that we could get Twilight
That's
Princess
awesome.
back.
I really hope my daughter and Jack have memories like that about me when they're older. I really do.
We got Breath of the Wild together, so just always getting a new Zelda game and playing it together, and that's cool. It's cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
My favorite Zelda game is Wind Waker. I've waffled back and forth. Breath of the Wild is really, really good, and it's definitely my second one. But the more and more I've played Breath of the Wild twice now, and I think that second playthrough really, like, it's not the charm and the story and the combat and how much fun I have when I play Wind Waker just really sets it apart for me. My Zelda connection started with Ocarina. I had a friend that lived at the trailer next door to me, and I used to go and watch him play. I couldn't play, but I could watch him play because I didn't have my own system. And I remember he printed off a guide, a walkthrough. Mm-hmm. So I would be his walkthrough. I would sit there and tell him what to do, and I would have the folder while he did it.
Fun.
And then when I got my own GameCube, it was like, my first launch system that I think I bought myself. And Wind Waker was a big deal when it finally came out, and that was like the thing that kind of started it. So I don't have those early Zelda roots that most people have. I didn't do Link to the Past till much later. Mm-hmm. So
that's okay. What
do you guys think about a year of Shaq?
It hasn't felt like a year, but I'm gonna be completely honest. Like,
kind of a letdown.
Oh no!
Yeah, we're let down with you, Donnie. Exactly.
I think we joined at a very good time. I think it was right at the beginning of the pandemic. I think.
Yeah, that too.
Obviously, I think a struggle for a lot of us.
Omen.
No.
Darkness brews over.
Lifestyle changing and not being able to like kind of get out as much, and keeping a routine I think has been important through the pandemic, and this has become part of my routine. It's something I really have always looked forward to every week. It's the set time every week. I haven't missed a single week. Both of you guys have missed weeks. I have missed a single week since starting. I just love having that routine and having this place where we can just talk about games freely, and it's just I really love it.
Thank you.
I definitely the same thing for me. It's really fun just to talk about games and then the news. I was like, oh, this is podcasting. Cool. This is and it's really fun to lead into these discussions. It's fun to have. It's like we have cool discussions, but also constructive arguments like every now and then. I love bringing in my own spin of RPGs and let you guys just bore you guys to death, and especially with Atelier Ryza.
Yes.
Donnie's game of the year. All time.
I hate this so much. People every time
we have such good inside jokes here.
Every time anything of that game gets announced, somebody had like Figma figures about that game, and like some Japanese account, somebody tagged me, and I was like, why does this keep happening?
I see him like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. This is awesome.
But you're right, Garrett. We each bring something that's different.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, Donnie, you did a really good job of making sure that that there was kind of that representation with us.
Oh, did you guys like jumping through my
games? I talk about Animal Crossing when you guys get bored to tears, which, by the way, you didn't put in the show notes. They're bringing back the Sanrio Amiibo cards, which not just that, but you can scan them and
we already did that.
Sanrio into what?
Didn't we already talk about those cards?
But it just came out today. It's not just the cards, that it's bringing back the villagers. So they're adding villagers to the game now, which
gotcha.
Not previously available.
Well, folks, that shows how much I'm paying attention to the news and things are swirling around that game.
My job to make sure Animal Crossing gets in the podcast.
How'd you guys like my my application tryout process? Were you nervous? I don't think I've even asked you guys.
I don't think I was nervous with it.
Donnie, I went and bought a webcam for this.
Oh, wow.
I didn't own a webcam before this.
Well, and now you've seen all around the internet. So looky there.
Now
welcome,
you're quite popular.
I knew Rebecca was going to be great at this a long time. I've known Rebecca through the internet for a long time for this, because she's listened to Shaq for a long time and was like one of our most active listeners. And I think you guys will agree with this now that you're doing it. When somebody new shows up, like in your Twitter or your Discord or whatever, and you don't know them, but they found your show and they like it, that's like a really seminal feeling, and it sticks with you. Like you remember that person. You're like, wow, this is so cool. Because it's not like the same old that you see, like with the other people that are on the network or the people in PSVG for like our other podcasters. But like when somebody just new shows, that was Rebecca. Like Rebecca used to send in questions and she used to send in pictures. I'll never forget, Rebecca, you sent me a picture of, was it Shaq playing on your radio?
It was, yeah. So I would listen to the show every week on my commutes to grad school. That's exclusively where I never listened to any of the live shows. It was my commute podcast that I listened to. And I think I remember the picture that you're talking about. I think I had pulled into work or school.
It's the first time that I had seen like this thing I was doing in somebody's car.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is just so cool. And I've never forgotten it. And I knew from talking to her, from her questions and all that, I was like, man, Rebecca would be really, really good.
Thank you.
And I remember reaching out to her and she's like, I don't know. And I was just shy. And I was like,
I've never done anything. Like this has all like helped me break out of my shell a lot because I consider myself to be a shy person. Like I did not imagine myself doing a podcast. And when you messaged me, I doubted like that I could do this, like get in front of the screen and talk to like people listening to it. And you were right.
Then on the Garrett front,
hello.
I honestly, in the Venn diagram that I was always wanting, I thought you filled in a much needed gap. A lot of the things that Rebecca brought to the show that I think our listeners still wanted. I mean, I'm sorry, Caroline, a lot of things that Caroline brought to the show. When she decided to step away, I was like, man, this is really going to suck for me. Because I think a lot of people really were attached to that sort of content. I wanted to somewhat try and replace it, or at least make sure that it was represented. And getting to know Garrett and having known Garrett for as long as I had, him circling in other communities, to be quite honest with you, I think the message that I sent Sean, like the day after Caroline stepped away, I think I wrote Sean a message. I was like, you think Garrett would do it? Because I kind of thought I was surprised that somebody hadn't already offered you a chance already. That's kind of where I was on the Garrett train. I was like, why isn't he on a podcast already? Like, you're friends with like 30 of these people that all have a podcast, but you didn't have one.
I was into it, man.
It didn't make any sense, right? He's got to be next man up. Like, he's the first guy on the bench here. So Sean was definitely like, you should definitely reach out to Garrett.
And then me and Garrett like didn't hardly even know each other before this. Like I think maybe we talked a couple times on the even like it was the first time we were meeting was
like, oh, hi Rebecca, how's it going? And then we did a show.
Like we wouldn't really measure anything, but like just I think the chemistry between all of us is really good, and I think that's what makes it work.
We don't get mad at each other. We don't take anything too seriously. We have fun. We have jokes. The inside jokes are great. And I do think you're right. Like the whole schedule, like we have a scheduled hangout, right? And that's what the podcasts really are. At least that's how I've always wanted my podcast to be. I want them to be fun, as much as possible. So thank you guys for joining the show. I continue to love what you're doing. So happy 1 year anniversary.
Yay.
Good stuff.
Yay.
Tomorrow, we have Pokemon news, as a Pokemon Presents has been announced. It will air tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. our time, my time, Eastern time, the real world time. I don't know what the rest of everybody else
That's early.
Well, Drew is in Australia. What the hell is that? Is he watching it now? Is that how that works? I have
12
no idea how that works.
That's 12 hours. Like what? That's the upside down. That's the inside out.
They did announce that it will be approximately 20 minutes long. Rebecca, you shared that according to a child product certification filed in January, that looks like they're reprinting the Pokeball Plus.
Wow. Oh, I forgot I shared that. Yeah, I think that's making people speculate that there could be Let's Go news.
I retweeted that with like the biggest laugh out loud gift because I just want to watch the internet when that happens. I so bad want them to be
Let's like me. You
don't see the Pokeball.
I want it to be Let's Go. Yeah, I am that person. I want it to be Let's Go. I just know that I'm like one of 6 people.
Especially
it's not much people.
Especially if it's Sinnoh and it's not Johto.
Oh man, it's gonna be so fun. So, what do you think is gonna happen tomorrow? 20 minutes?
It's the longest one. I was
really?
Eric's. He went back and said how long each of the Pokemon Day presentations were,
That's
and
good.
it's the longest one.
So quite a bit.
I think we'll see Pokemon Snap. I think we'll see Pokemon Unite. And I think we will see a Pokemon remake. And I hope, I'm going to say it, I hope it's a Let's Go game. That's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be Let's Go. And I mean, Shaq listeners, you've heard me say this since the last Let's Go. I want it to be Let's Go Gold and Silver. That's what I want it to be.
That's definitely happening. I think that's 100% happening. Whether it's coming it could be this year or later. Now with this reprint with Pokeball Plus,
people are going to go nuts.
Okay, here's the two possibilities for. I think there's three scenarios as far as remakes go.
Okay.
You can tell me which one you think is most likely.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going based off of the Let's Go thing, I think it could either be Let's Go Sinnoh, the Gen 4 remakes, which has been hotly rumored. I think there have been some mildly credible leaks saying that they're remaking Sinnoh.
Yep.
Let's Go Johto, Generation 2, which would make the most logical sense after Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or Sinnoh remakes in the style of Sword and Shield.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Those are the three.
The only possibilities, realistically, that we have. Which one do you think?
I was thinking, all right, so before all this came out, I'm not going to lie to you, the Pokeball threw me off because most likely,
It does throw me
like
off.
leading into this, most likely, I was like Diamond and Pearl remakes like the other ones. But before that, like 2 years ago, I was thinking that we'd get Let's Go, a new game, a new Let's Go, maybe then another remake, and then a new game. So in my head, like before all these rumors and everything started this year, in my head, back when I was hoping for Let's Go Gold and Silver, that's what I thought was going to happen. We get Let's Go Gold and Silver.
Mhm.
Next year, we get a remake of Diamond and Pearl, and then we get the next Pokemon game.
Yeah.
And then all this Diamond and Pearl thing like just took over, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, I guess that's it, and I'm just completely wrong. I want it to be Let's Go Gold and Silver. I don't want it to be Let's Go like I kind of want to see the internet on that.
Let's Go Shino is a very unique.
But it's just a troll in my mind. I don't want it to happen.
There.
I just want to watch the internet
That'd be-
when they're like, it's happening, and then that Pokeball comes.
The scenario that would happen there is people would be pissed on Twitter, but that game will still sell.
Oh, they'll all sell. They'll all sell.
What I think is going to happen, most likely, is still the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes, and then the Pokeball Plus will have some form of functionality within that game, and also maybe Sword
You
and
think
Shield.
it will be Sword and Shield style, though? You think it will not be Let's Go style?
That's correct. I also think what could possibly happen, and I don't think they've done it before, but I think they could try this out, do a Let's Go Johto in the summer of some kind, like August or
double down.
September. Double down, and then do a Pokemon
yeah,
Diamond
that's
and Pearl.
good.
I
Now
would
you're getting me
Holiday.
excited.
love that. I think that could probably not even be that unrealistic because I think they would probably have, because don't they really technically have two Pokemon teams that are working on games? They have kind of the subset, the smaller team, like the newer
Yeah.
guys.
I have
and then
no
they
idea.
The veteran
I mean,
team. Because
they
I know
broke
they
it
had
down,
a
like, a
new
lot.
team that was working on the Ultra games while the other
Who's working on Snap though? Because Snap is still happening.
that's not game.
That's
Freak.
not Pokemon.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's out of the equation. I think that could happen because they could have the team that worked on Let's Go, which I think is this. Somebody can maybe correct me in chat. I think is the smaller newbie team that worked on the Ultra games, so they could be working on Let's Go Johto, while the veteran team that worked on Sword and Shield, now that they're done with the DLC, could remake Sinnoh in that style.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Marketing that might be nuts, but it would sell.
I mean,
That's
it would
true.
be a big celebration, right? Like it would be a big thing to have two. I feel like that's way too much. I don't think that's very realistic.
It's asking for too much.
Yeah, like that's not very realistic in my head, but I would love it if you were right, Karen. I would absolutely love it if you were right.
Druby said that the Ball Plus worked with Sword and Shield, and then a lot of people
It
want
did.
one for play Pokemon Go on mobile. So
you're
there's
right.
other reasons.
It's not necessarily mean Let's Go.
I know.
Yeah,
I want
we
to.
want one too.
I
Don't
want it
worry,
to mean
we'll-
I want to laugh so hard when
Yeah.
they show it. I really want it to be Let's Go. I really like Let's Go. And I really want Gold and Silver. Like I want that game. I just want to have it because like going back to Gold and Silver is not what I want. I want that new Gold and Silver. I guess it's like that's what I want. You know, it's like that Wind Waker port. It's like it's my happy place. It's what I
Yeah.
want. I want to have that forever.
I would be very happy with that. I think, and I do like Let's Go as well. I don't mind the catch style. I don't mind really, and I like that game a lot. I just hope if they do that they add pro controller support because
I'm with you.
Definitely.
there's no reason why that game should not have motion control support. If you can play it in handheld, it should just have the same functionality
Yeah.
you do the tilting, and then
They just wanted you to. They wanted you to do it, and I'm with you. I think it was dumb, and I didn't like it. And
very disappointed if it doesn't have Pro Controller.
Well, that's what they're going to do. We know that's exactly what they're going to do.
Then they sold a Pro Controller along with that game, and you couldn't even use it.
That's so weird. That's so weird. Let's Go is like I'm push and pull with it. Like I really love going back to the Kanto region and like going through like the various gyms or whatnot. I just wish it wasn't Let's Go. Like I wish I wasn't catching them in the wild and doing stuff like that. I was like, no, give me a classic mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I think that could be. I mean, it wouldn't be like a full Pokemon game. I'm not expecting that, but just give me like a little bit more than just throwing the Pokeball in the wild. I just didn't care for it as much.
If it's Let's Go for either Johto or Sinnoh, who do you think the cover mascots will be?
So for Johto, I'm thinking Togepi.
Makes sense.
Togepi. I'm trying to think of another like big second gen Pokemon.
Two that I'm thinking along with Togepi for second gen would be the ones that were heavily featured in the movie, the first movie.
Pokemon 2000?
Yeah, Meryl.
And
Snubble.
Meryl and Snubble. Okay, I can see that. For Sheena, I can see
Meryl and Snubble Joy-Con.
That'd be legit.
We're definitely going to get a Switch Lite. Like whatever it is, we're going to get a Switch Lite tomorrow.
Meryl and Togepi.
Meryl and Togepi is a big
sense.
one too. Pichu, that's another one.
It's close to Pikachu, yeah.
I think for Shino, I think Munchlax.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
could see that. And then I'm trying to think of another.
I gotta look up a list.
Yeah, me too. Is it Lucario? Like
yeah, the little
the little guy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Ryoku?
Yeah, Riolu.
Okay, I can see that.
Drew says he wants the older games re-released on Switch. Do you think there's any chance at all that we get the original games emulated on Switch tomorrow? Neither do I. I don't think that's happening. No. I do think we're going to get a Switch Lite. Whatever it is. Whatever this Let's Go remake, whatever, it will have a Switch Lite, I think.
Oh, we'll probably get new information on Detective Pikachu 2. I think there's going to be a large focus on the non-main series stuff. I think we'll get that. I think I
forgot all about that game.
Pokemon Sleep, I believe, is canceled. I believe we'll never hear about that game ever.
I'd rather them cancel Detective instead of
Me
Sleep.
too.
I'd rather the Sleep game.
I think the Sleep game, I think that's way gone. We're never going to hear about it again.
We all laughed at that. Like, we all laughed at it.
I wanted to I like the movie Detective Pikachu. I got the 3DS game for Jack. Just really boring.
It is a very boring game.
It's a very slow, boring game. It's like, I don't want a game like this. This is not fun.
They're trying to pull like a Professor Layton type of
it's weird.
style. I don't know.
like it. Anyway, I'm hoping that I get to buy lots of Pokemans. Let's see here. Do you want to go through all these? I think we already kind of did.
Go through the questions.
Yeah, we made our predictions. We kind of the categorically thing. That's a lot.
Elias says that doing Let's Go Diamond and Pearl would be a big mistake as opposed to the core games. I think that's going to be the general opinion.
Yeah, that is. I like G-Man. He mentions pinball. We will definitely get like a spin-off something.
I would like some spin-off Pokemon games.
There's going to be something new.
Pokemon Puzzle League.
Oh, no.
What was the puzzle game they did on 3DS I played a little bit of? The match game?
Pokemon Shuffle. I love
Pokemon Shuffle. Okay.
Shuffle to Switch would be cool.
Shuffle's great.
That was way better than Cafe.
Cafe's a little. It's just
I like Quest. Quest was kind of good, actually. I kind of enjoyed that. I played that for like 20 hours. For a free-to-play game,
Wow.
20 hours, that's pretty good for me. Like, I really dig that. But yeah, some sort of Pokemon puzzle game would be a lot of fun. It was free to play. Download it right away tomorrow. That would be a lot of fun.
Pokemon Puzzle League, like, oh gosh, that was so good on N64. I would totally remake
New Puzzle League would get excited.
I don't know. You said that we're going to get a trailer for Snap. I'm not so certain. I think because we already got a trailer for Snap, they might kind of hold off on that and show some other stuff in that 20
Isn't
minutes.
it?
It's 20 minutes
away. We've got to see more of that game at some point.
We haven't seen much.
Because my fear is
if we don't, that means it's bad.
Yeah.
That means there's something wrong with it.
That's my fear that there's
Oh no.
That's what we see is what we're getting.
Should I pre-order this
I saw
physically?
that
Should I cancel my physical or my digital pre-order so at least I can trade it back in if it's real bad?
I don't pre-order digital things. I never advocate for that. I did see a leak shortly before this show for Pokemon Snap that I'm not going to detail it for the people who might not want to be in case it is real, but it seems like it is real, and it seems like there's not a ton of areas in the game, but there's some interesting mechanics that give it more depth than just areas. If it is true. I don't know if it is.
In today's world, I always expected that Pokemon Snap might get a lot of criticism for being short, but it was always going to be short. They were never going to make a 20-hour Pokemon Snap game. It was never going to happen. So that doesn't really bother me. I think that's just kind of, that would be like a non-Pokemon or Pokemon Snap fan like reviewing a game. That's exactly what I would expect for them to say.
I hope that I get to review this game because I think that so for those of you who don't know, I'm a really, really big Pokemon Snap fan, the original. I know that game inside and out. I can tell you all the secrets. I play it all the time. I think I have high expectations for this game after waiting for it for 22 years, but I think I would be able to judge it fairly for what it is 22 years later, the new one.
My expectation is a very similar experience in length and content. That's my expectation. My expectation is like it'll feel almost like a remake, but different, but very at home with like what it is.
Modern, and I want it to be bigger and more ambitious, but without going too far from what the core.
Ambitious is not something I'm expecting from Pokemon Snap 2.
Ambitious in the sense that it has more than what the original had, but maintaining what the original was. So more of those secrets, more of those, I think
secrets, definitely. You're going to be able to throw some new stuff. You'll have some new mechanics that you can combine together. But I'm expecting mostly the same thing. Same length, same thing, same stuff.
Man, and I see these trailers, and what you're saying is like more of the same thing. Is like, that doesn't make me want to buy this game. Like,
it does me. Like, I
for
totally
the price. Yeah, I know.
I understand that in today's world, it's a lot to ask for people, but me, absolutely.
I think, and there's a lot of people like you, so I'm sure it's going to sell well.
Okay, moving off.
We have one more Pokemon question that we didn't cover from Steven. What singer would you pick to perform for Pokemon Day, and which song would you want them to cover?
What did we get today? We got Hootie and the Blowfish covered by
Post Malone.
The hell does that have anything to do with Pokemon? The only reason I even know that, somebody replied to Jeff because he was tweeting about it. Somebody replied to him. It was a really missed opportunity that they didn't say, I only want a Pikachu instead of be with you. And I was like, that is top level tweeting right there. That is damn good. Give that person an award. But like, why Hootie and the Blowfish? What the hell is happening with Pokemon?
I was listening to it like, why are we doing this?
It's not a terrible cover or anything. It's just why is there a Pokemon logo on screen? What is happening?
Anyway, I want it to be Taylor Swift.
Of course.
And she can sing whatever she wants.
Wow.
I'm not surprised.
What would be the worst thing that we could pick, Garrett, to make Rebecca like?
Just like a heavy death metal band. Well, but like Korn, yeah, Creed.
I like Korn. I like.
Yeah, she's into punk rock. That doesn't work. We got to do better.
Okay. I don't know. Like, where are the kids into these days?
A really deep country singer.
A deep country singer? Oh God.
Like with the twang and everything, like that type of like real deep South country. Not like
weird
pop,
instrument.
Not like cute poppy country. Slide guitar. Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Mm-hmm. Talking about pickup trucks with Pikachus in it. I don't know.
Garth Brooks says, or Kyle says Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks is fine.
And, hey, Lady Gaga, I'm all
Lady Gaga would be all for it.
Her little French bulldogs. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I hope they
get
found. Oh, poor Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Poor man. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Poor dog.
Talking about the dog.
I mean, Americans really care about their pets way more than human life. Way more than human life.
He's recovering, but we don't know the status of the dogs.
I was going to say something real dark. I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah, let's just let it go.
We've had game announcements this week. The Blizzard Arcade Collection was announced during BlizzCon, which will have Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn. I said on Empire, I don't know what those games are. Do you? I have no clue what that was. I got nothing, guys. But something that is really cool for Switch players, Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming to Switch. It's an HD remaster of the first. It will feature cross progression with console and PC players, and you will be able to toggle between the original graphics and the new ones, and that is really cool. $40.
That's very cool. I would pay $40. I would pay $40 for it.
It's a sweet deal. I'm definitely going to get it. I'm still torn on Switch or Xbox, but that's a definite buy. I'm definitely getting it somewhere.
I love Diablo 3. I never played Diablo 2, but people who played Diablo 2 love it.
I beat Diablo 3 and this is the joke I was making Empire. I still don't get it. I just beat up people. I just hit people with stuff.
There's no story to it. I mute it. I literally mute it and just play. The
cutscenes are really cool. They're grand. I like that, but the Diablo players, they're talking about we're going to chain these
it was so weird
together and stat boosts. It's all the things I make fun of you with Atelier about. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I
just give me a mace and let me smash people in the face with it, and
that's what you can do all the time.
Yeah, I'll just do that. I'm good. Mm-hmm. Rebecca, anything in Diablo?
Nope.
You think so?
Of course.
Tony Hawk 1 and 2 are coming to Switch. Now, one of the things I was thinking when this was announced was, wouldn't it have been really cool if Diablo 2 and Tony Hawk were in the Direct?
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been a cool thing.
I think the general opinion of the Direct would have gone up a lot.
I agree.
I think that's kind of
especially for those people who think about this game.
Yeah, I think
this Direct.
Third-party support that would have really packed that a little bit more. But that being said, I don't know what the difference makes to people's opinions if it's announced a couple days later outside of the Direct than inside the general Direct video.
Good point.
Come on.
They didn't announce a date. They didn't announce a price, which is interesting because I just assumed it'd be $40 like the other ones, and then Elaine was like, "It's going to be $60," and I was like, "You're probably right."
Switch tax.
You're probably right. We did see some gameplay. Chris posted some gameplay of Tony Hawk on Switch. I think it was on IGN this week. Mm-hmm. It looks pretty good. Better. It looked about as good as I could have hoped for, because that was my original take. Every time we get a big port, I think of the same thing. And I saw it in action playing on screen. I was like, that's pretty good. It looks like a good... I might double down. I might get Tony Hawk on Switch on sale, of course, not day one, but I already have it on Xbox. But I might get a portable version at some point. Mm-hmm. And this is a couple weeks old now, but it is important. We just had so much news and stuff we didn't get to it. Overcooked All You Can Eat arrives on Switch March 23rd. It will. It's coming to all consoles. It'll feature both original games, plus new content, new kitchens, new chefs, an assist mode, and extra accessibility options. Online multiplayer for all kitchens to support crossplay.
Wow!
Soon after launch. Okay, that's a big deal, and that's a really fun online game, chaotic fun, what's the Among Us and stuff like that. You can have a lot of fun like that with Overcooked. So that's a date to circle if you're looking for something to play here in the next month or so.
I love that game.
The Overcooked thing you can get. Mm-hmm. Now let's get into some juicy rumors. The latest comes from Nate the Hate. He posted a response on Reset Era, as well as he talked about in his podcast. And so I'll just quote what he read. Talking about a Switch Pro. Quote, "Won't really talk more about the specs other than I have, but it has DLSS and has 4K functionality. No reason to go deeper than that right now. That's enough to illustrate the device is a meaningful upgrade. First-party support will span the new hardware and current Switch for at least a couple of years." Quote, "Let's say I'm confident it gets announced this year. A delay to 2022 would need to be communicated in the next few months as dev kits and third-party partners begin to plan software for the device. At this moment, I believe a hope remains for a 2021 launch." This is interesting because on Jeff Grubb's podcast, he also kind of talked to that. He didn't say that he knows. I'm by no means reporting that he just thinks that Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 could be this fall.
What?
Yeah.
If Breath of the Wild 2 is this fall, we're not getting Wind Waker and Twilight Princess this fall.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, but I don't think that's happening. But who knows? Nate has had a pretty good record with some of the stuff when he's gone on record with stuff. So he thinks the Switch Pro. He didn't say it's coming out this year, but he thinks that's the plan. I laid out all the reasons why I think that plan's getting delayed. I think there's a lot of software, and I don't think that plan can easily happen in March or May. That plan can easily be pushed back.
For sure.
But the rumor, is a rumor. What do you guys think?
DLSS and 4K functionality, that would be pretty big.
What's DLSS?
It's like, I forget the actual acronym. It's like super sampling.
Yeah, it's dynamic something super sampling. Basically, what you're doing is your resolution, let's say you're rendering like 720p on the screen. You're using a machine learning technique in order to predict the other empty spaces in pixels so you can up-res it to 1080p or 4K.
I'm pretty sure you explained this to me before and I had just forgotten.
It's basically magic to make it look prettier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can tell you that the impacts of DLS to say something like Cyberpunk is grand. Cyberpunk with DLSS looks and runs far greater than like at native support, even on my own PC. So having DLSS support on Switch would be a big deal because they could take a game that runs at 900p and pull it off in HD to where it would look console-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really kind of all you need. Like, nobody is out there thinking the Switch needs to be on par, next side to a PlayStation 5. The idea is to look close in the ballpark, to be around there, not to be, outer worlds.
Right.
Are they saying that this is still going to be hybrid, that this is going to be a portable and dockable model?
This quote doesn't mention anything like that, but I don't think anybody has went on record with like a credible source saying it's not right. That. I think everybody's expecting it
because that's what's most important to me, and if they can pull that off, that would be great.
And it's a huge edge for Nintendo versus the other consoles because you have to remember this is an NVIDIA technology, as Zhengbart said in the chat. This is an NVIDIA thing. The DLSS and the super sampling. Yep. It's all within NVIDIA tech, and that's in the Switch itself, and they can probably use the same technology there. AMD, which is the chips that are used for Sony and Xbox, it's not quite up to speed yet. I think it's still doubtful this year, not just because of like what we think about Nintendo, but also the chip shortage that is happening right now for all the GPUs and all the consoles, and then everything else. Like anything you can think of that needs a chip.
Switches alone, like the chips that we have now, Switches, like we have a hard time keeping Switch on shelf. Like there are lots of times during like the Xbox, PlayStation 5s, right? I jump into these threads with people. They're like, I can't get one. And I find it surprising because I've told a few of them, I've jumped in, I'm like, Xbox is available here. It's attainable. It's not always attainable, but like you can get one. And when I talk to people in the UK and stuff, they're like, we can't find a Switch anywhere. They are gone. And that surprises me because I walk into Walmart and I see, not hundreds of them, but there's 10 of them there. They're there. But like in other places, they're not.
Wow.
They're gone. So that was a big part of the reason because of how well it's selling, because I expected to have a big software year. Pokemon, Zelda, it's like, just push it. But if Breath of the Wild 2, whatever that is, if it is this year, let's just say that. If it is this year, then new hardware is going to launch with it. I'm not going to let go of that. I think they'll launch new hardware with that.
And maybe do you think that's probably could be why they didn't want to do a Zelda Direct this early, because they don't know if they're going to have Wind Waker. Like, I feel like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess might be, okay, we're going to fall back on this. If we can't get Breath of the Wild this fall, this is what we'll have instead. But they don't want to come out and say that now, just in case they do meet that mark and get Breath of the Wild out in the fall.
I mean, I'd be the last person to just tell Jeff he's wrong, but I just don't believe it.
It's just hard to believe right now. Yeah,
it's just like with everything that's gone on this year, everything is being delayed. Everything. Like if you bought a PlayStation 5, if you bought an Xbox, it's all being delayed. Everything that you thought you were playing in March, you're playing in June. Everything you thought was in June, you're playing in November. Like it just feels greedy. Like you're just asking for a lot that just doesn't seem very realistic.
They did have a response to the chip shortage. Nintendo did, and they said they have an ample supply. Like they have an ample for their current Switch models. So I don't know how much they would.
And that data mine mentioned that they're using the same chip.
They're using the same chip as well.
Chip.
Yeah, so that would be interesting if they could pull it off.
I think they push it. I feel very good with a bet that Zelda gets pushed. Like that's an easy bet to make. Yeah, that's a good bet. The odds on that are pretty strong. Speaking of rumors, we'll get through this one real quick so we can get to a couple questions before we close it. This is also a couple weeks old at this point, but Dusk Golem shared that he thinks Capcom has a timed exclusive Resident Evil game in the works for Nintendo Switch that was once Resident Evil Revelations 3, but has now become known as Resident Evil Outrage. The game is being built on the RE engine like Monster Hunter.
Cool.
I think that rumor sounds like something I could believe in, but if I was to believe in it, I would imagine that's a 2022 title.
Yeah, I could see that as well. Yeah, just I don't know. We're having RE Village right now. And
If they
it's
can't
all
port
over next year,
the remakes to Switch, if they're too grand, then getting a Switch Resident Evil game, I think, makes sense for Capcom. They've done it in the past. I think when this rumor came out, a lot of people were like, it's too much work for Capcom. They did it on 3DS all the time. There's a lot of them. So, like, I think it makes sense to at least throw one over there on Switch. With how well Switch is selling, with how grand, because here's the thing. You could throw a 6-month timed exclusive on Switch. It gets gangbusters out of the gate, and then port like an HD better version of it to consoles.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, that gets us to some questions. Rebecca, how about you give us 2 of them?
Can I do a joke one first before we do 2?
Sure.
Steven wanted to know how much longer until Rebecca leaves these guys. She's becoming big time.
She is. You
So
are.
how
You
long?
are big time.
How
You're
long,
huge.
Rebecca?
How long
I'm
do we
not
have?
going anywhere. You can't get rid of me. I know you want to get rid of me. I'm not going anywhere.
Why do we want to get rid of you?
We don't want to get rid of you. That's the thing.
That was the whole point of being
Can't kick me out.
recruiting you to be here.
Can't kick me out that easily, Steven. I'm on to you. Jack wanted to know, do you think Joy-Con will work with the next Switch? So we're talking all about this next potential
This
Pro
is a
model.
Great question.
I think it's a crucial question
That
too.
is
we
a
were
pretty
talking-
big question.
I told him, so I bought a couple, my new thing that Jack is starting to get into, you guys know about, our listeners don't know about. My new thing is I'm really into customizing Switches. I'm going to have 2 custom Switches at this point. I've bought new systems just to customize. And I'm getting some custom Joy-Con. And I was talking to Jack about like, hey, we need to be real careful with this stuff. It costs Dad a lot of money. We don't need to scratch it up and all that. And he goes, do you think these are going to work with the new Switch? And I was like, that is an excellent question. Because a lot of people, right, don't like the Joy-Cons. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they would be redesigned in a way that they wouldn't work. Because like all you really need is the rail and the connectivity. If the communication is the same, you could fix the stick, but your old one still be compatible. With them releasing Zelda stuff,
yeah.
I kind of think they will.
Especially since you're right, and they had the NES ones that are able to slide in and technically be part of the Switch. So that just goes to show they can have different types of controllers slide in there. And
wouldn't it be weird?
The Hori stuff, like all different types.
Let's say I'm right, and I think they announce a Switch Pro at some point for next year. Wouldn't it be weird to release brand new Zelda Joy-Con and then come back and be like, but they won't work on our new thing?
No, I could see them doing that.
Oh no.
That would be
Here's a new Zelda. Here's a new Switch. Here's a new Zelda game. Don't use those Zelda Joy-Cons we just sold you. You got to get the new Zelda Joy-Cons. Oh my god, that sounds awful.
So do you mean like Joy-Cons as like attaching, or you mean like wireless play? Like I feel like
that's a good point.
Wireless play should be okay.
What he meant with the question was attaching, but that's a good point. Even if you can't attach them, you probably can still play with them wirelessly. That's a very good point.
That's fair, I think.
Yeah.
At the very least, I would expect at least that.
You could throw them on a grip and use them as an extra controller and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Good point, Garrett. I didn't think about that.
I can't see them adding any new button schemes or anything like that that would make it hard to...
But no, I mean, that's the same
like
thing.
A real D-pad, but nothing like... I don't see them like really adding any buttons that are really going to change it up. Like, they're not going to...
Second screenshots, 2 screenshots. No, you're right. They're not going to change the configuration or the layout. Do you think they would change the rail, like the connectivity part?
Well, if they change the rail, that's going to suck for everyone.
Yeah, because they're going to squeeze even more money out of the people who now need to buy new Joy-Con.
And that was my. I mean, if I'm making my prediction is that they would keep the same rail. I do think that they will address the Joy-Con at some way. They will say this is a better Joy-Con. I'm expecting like a Wii Motion Plus type of thing, but I still expect the Joy-Con you have to be able to click in and still work. That is my expectation.
Yeah, me too.
Because like they can fix the Joy-Con without touching the rail. Isn't the problem? The stick is the problem. They can fix the stick,
yeah, for sure,
and still keep the rail and everything else. If anything, I know they won't, but like I would encourage them to take HD Rumble out. Like take your Rumble motor out, fix the stick, and leave the rails it is, and sell them cheaper. That would be my advice. But I don't think they're not gonna do that.
No.
But I thought it was a great question.
It's a good question.
We have one more.
Yep.
Yes,
I know we're really late. Oh my god, it's 11. I want to ask this one by Coffee Princess. With the Miitopia coming out on the Switch, it got me wondering about what else could come to the Switch. What 3DS games would you like to see on the Switch? For me, it's the Style Savvy series. I think this is a good question, too, because of the 10-year anniversary for 3DS tomorrow.
Ooh, that is a good question. I mean,
we already talked about A Link Between Worlds.
There's a lot of 3DS games I would like on Switch.
Samus Returns deserves a chance on the Switch. It came out 100%. At the very end of the 3DS's lifespan. I think it would do better on the Switch for sure than it would do on the 3DS, and I think it would kind of breathe a little bit of life into the Metroid franchise while we're waiting for Prime.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I 100% agree. I'm trying to think. I've suddenly gone blank.
Well, there's like
Awakening, but I would just remake it. I wouldn't bring the 3DS version over. I want to remake.
Oh, I'm gonna go through my 3DS a little bit.
Samus Returns. A lot of them, like we're already getting a Mario Golf game, so you can't bring that over. You're not gonna bring over Animal Crossing. I wouldn't bring over Dream Team or Luigi's Mansion. No Smash.
Give me so there's the Persona Q series and like Etrian Odyssey in general. If they kind of like remake some of that dungeon crawling stuff instead of just using touchscreen, but also other things, I think those are great games to put on Switch.
We already have New Super Mario Bros. I mean, obviously, I think they'll remake it, but Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Pokemon Sun and Moon, maybe.
They're not going to do that because they're going to, in 20 years from now, remake it for the Nintendo.
I know.
Whatever.
That's exactly what I was thinking. But like so many of the games, we don't have the games, but we have the games, right? Like we have ports or sequels or revisions of them already.
What about Kid Icarus Uprising?
Kid Icarus would be a very good one. Yeah, for sure.
It really depends on the touchscrreen a lot, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
They'll have to really rework the controls.
That's true. I don't know that game that well.
Monster Hunter Stories would be nice, like kind of these packing games.
But we're getting the new one.
Well, I'm not saying like I just would like it to supplement what's coming out.
Sure,
like Bravely Default as well, and that's what I've been kept saying.
Yeah, because so many of these are like sequels to Wii U games or prequels to Wii U games. Like it's actually quite amazing, like how many of these we have a version of in some ways.
NES Remix.
NES Remix, yeah, I think we've mentioned that before. It would be great to have on Switch. Picross 3D Round 2. I love that thing on the 3DS. A nice little puzzle game. I'm forgetting puzzle games.
I mentioned Pokemon Shuffle. What about Shadows of Valentia?
I don't know that.
Yeah, Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I could see that actually coming, like as an up-res port, like mostly
Awakening,
the same but better.
Yeah. I would do Awakening and
see with Awakening I want a remake. I want them to like fully let's redo that. But like a port of Valentia, I mean kind of, not really. It's not like a deal breaker, but maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think Samus Returns is the most realistic thing that we could get.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Pikmin.
Oh, I just found it. Thank you, GameSpot, for your top 30 3DS games. My pick is Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix. Because that game and series is awesome. And I would love to see that game come back in all HD glory and all that. And I know it's, I think it was kind of like, that was like the last one. It's kind of like on its legs. And the developer was like, we really need you to buy this game or it's going to die.
Wow.
I bought it. I remember we did a podcast about it and everything. I like Rhythm Heaven. So that would maybe be one.
Some Shin Megami Tensei stuff, just to add in a little bit more of that, you know?
The Switch has a touch screen, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't play a lot of games that use it, so I always like doubt it. What if they brought back like Art Academy or something?
That makes sense. I could see like a lot of those. We didn't talk about like
for the light, I think.
They don't make sense as like ports, but like I would love if they threw like all those Street Pass games and like Nintendo Switch Online or anything like that.
That would be great.
Yeah. Street Pass itself would be great. Like they just brought back that whole program would be great. Those are one of my favorite things about 3DS.
Me too.
About that. Yeah, I want that.
For all the games that I've got, some of them are just destined to be here.
And I will play them on the 3DS.
Like we got Yoshi's New Island.
I want Yoshi's Woolly World. I know they won't because we have Yoshi's whatever it's crafted
World,
whatever it is. I would much prefer Woolly World.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Pikmin.
That's what I said earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must totally missed that one.
Hey, Pikmin, yeah.
Yeah, that one actually might make the most sense. That one and Samus Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they came out so late.
Remember,
Yeah, they did.
remember the... Okay, go for it. Go ahead.
WarioWare Gold. That's the answer.
Oh, yeah.
No, I want no. I want a new WarioWare. I think WarioWare deserves better than getting a port of that because it's just the old. I love WarioWare Gold, but it's just a bunch of old mini games.
But it was like all of them.
Brand new. I know, but I want a brand new one.
I'm all for that, but like a really great way, like just all of them.
I beat that game in like an hour.
I remember when they announced WarioWare Gold. All of us were like, "Why is this coming to Switch? Why? Why did you just announce this?" WarioWare Gold makes a lot of sense.
I think
I wouldn't pay $40 for it because it's not a long game.
The most underrated and also probably unheard of game. You remember Codename Steam?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do.
I could see that being a Switch port,
I
up-res
hope
and
not.
everything. Why not?
You don't like it?
No, I mean, no.
It's a tactical game.
Yeah,
And
I like
it is-
tactic games, or I like Fire Emblem games, and it's kind of the same, but it was really kind of cheesy.
It was cheesy. It was meant
You
to be
remember
cheesy
what that
for
was
sure.
all about? You remember the announcement for that?
I actually don't remember that.
There was a huge rumor going around, like, we're going to announce a game. It's at a panel at E3, and everybody was like, oh, I forget what they thought it was, but everybody was like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. May have been like a Fire Emblem or whatever. And then they announced Codename Steam, and people were like, what
I
is
remember.
this? That game was doomed from the start. Like,
I bought
just
it for $5.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's fine. You're going to tell me you want Steel Diver next?
Yeah. Give me Lego Star Wars.
I pre-ordered that game on Switch this week.
Oh, really?
The next one?
Wait, the
Skywalker.
Skywalker. Oh man,
It's all of them remastered, man. I'm super excited for that. It's gonna be great.
probably get on Xbox.
All right, that's gonna do it for us this week in the Nintendo Shack. Thank you, Kooplings, for sticking with me as I started the show late. So I apologize to my guests for that, and then for the long show. Hopefully, you enjoyed this 1 hour and 50 minutes in Nintendo Shack, and we'll be back next week as we recap whatever happens tomorrow morning with Pokemon. And who knows in the gaming world today? Like there's news every day. So we'll catch you next week. Good night.